The wind was dry and full of dust. The sky over the planet Ultra 3 was dark red. Like blood mixed with ash, the war had ended. But the ground still smelled like smoke. Dead machines and broken buildings covered the land. The Earth Alliance had won, but no one was celebrating. Corporal Ethan Ray walked through the ruins. His boots crunched over glass and metal. He held a scanner in one hand and a pulse rifle in the other. The scanner beeped slowly, no life signs. He sighed, looking around the wreckage. "Just more junk," he muttered. Ethan had been in the war for 5 years. He had seen alien monsters, destroyed cities, and soldiers die. But now it was cleanup time. Find survivors, collect data, and leave. Nothing interesting ever showed up, but today was different. As Ethan moved through what looked like a collapsed bunker, his scanner beeped again. He stopped. It was weak, almost not there, but it was a life sign. Could be a glitch, he said to himself. Still, he walked toward it, slowly, carefully. The signal was coming from under a pile of metal sheets and ash. He knelt down and started moving the debris. Dust flew into the air, making him cough. Then he saw it. A dirty, gray sack. It was tied shut with wire, but something inside it moved. Ethan's heart skipped. He grabbed a knife and cut the wire. Then, slowly, he opened the sack. Inside was a small figure, curled up like a baby, thin arms, glowing skin, tiny fingers. It was not human, not completely. The creature opened its eyes, bright silver, and looked at him. Its mouth moved barely, then a soft voice came out, almost too quiet to hear. "Mom." Ethan froze. The alien girl blinked once. Then her eyes closed. She passed out. He looked around, heart racing. There were no cameras here. No patrols. He could report her, but command would take her away. They'd study her, cut her open, maybe worse. She was just a child. He made a decision. "I'm getting you out of here," he whispered. He wrapped her in his coat and carried her back to his dropship. The dropship, named Raven 9, was old but still running. He entered the cockpit, placed the girl in a supply crate padded with blankets. She didn't move. Ethan started the engines and took off. No questions from base good as the ship climbed into orbit. He looked down at her. She was breathing, slowly. Her skin was pale blue with glowing lines. Like circuits under the surface, she had no ID tag. No name, no data chip. Who was she? Why was she left behind, tied in a sack like trash? He reached out and gently brushed dust from her face. "You're safe now," he said. "You're not going back there." But even as he said it, alarms started blinking on the screen. Unauthorized cargo detected. Bioscan warning. Command was scanning ships. If they found her, it was over. Ethan pulled the supply crate deeper into the cargo bay. He opened a hidden compartment, used for smuggling weapons during war missions, and slid the crate inside. He sealed it shut, then sat back in the pilot's seat, sweating. A voice crackled through the radio. "Raven 9. Prepare for scan." He clicked the comm. "Roger that." Standing by, the scanner beam passed through the ship. It paused, just for a second, near the hidden crate. Then moved on. Scan complete. Ethan let out a slow breath. Too close when the scan finished. He changed course. He wasn't going back to base. He set the ship to travel to a deep space station, quiet, forgotten, off the radar. Behind him, in the hidden crate, the alien girl stirred. Her fingers twitched. Her lips moved, and again she whispered, "Mom." Ethan didn't hear it this time, but something in the air felt heavy, like something important had begun, something big. The war was over. But for Ethan and the girl, a new story was just beginning. It started with a sound no machine should make. A soft humming, like a song without words. It was coming from the cargo bay. Ethan sat in the cockpit, watching the stars slip past. They were deep in space now, heading toward an old mining station. He thought the girl was asleep, but the sound told him otherwise. He got up and opened the bay door. The moment he stepped inside, the lights flickered. Then one by one, screens came alive, flashing symbols in alien language. He stopped cold. The hidden crate was open. The girl was standing beside it. her feet bare on the cold metal floor, her eyes glowing brighter than before. Ethan raised his hand slowly. "Hey, it's okay," he said. "I'm not gonna hurt you." The girl looked at him. She didn't speak, but something moved, not in the room, but in his head. A wave of pressure, like a soft voice pressing against his mind. It wasn't words. It was feeling, fear, hunger, confusion, and something else, pain. She reached out and touched a broken control panel. The metal sparked once, then repaired itself, right in front of Ethan's eyes. "Okay," he said, breathless. "That's new." The girl sat down, tired again. Her glow dimmed. She looked up at him, weak but calm now, and then she spoke one shaky word. "Safe?" Ethan nodded. "Yeah," he said, "you're safe." He brought her food, soft protein packs and warm water. She ate quietly, watching him the whole time. Her movements were slow, like every bite took effort. He decided to talk. "If we go back to Earth, they'll take you," he said. "They won't ask questions." She didn't understand everything, but she felt what he meant. She looked around the ship and pointed at herself. "Nova," she said. He blinked. "Is that your name?" She nodded just once. Ethan smiled. "Okay, Nova," he said. "I'm Ethan." Nova reached out and touched his chest. Then, the lights in the bay flickered again. Not from her. This time, it was an alert incoming transmission. Ethan walked to the console and saw the message. "Unauthorized biosignal detected on ship Raven 9. Prepare for inspection." His heart dropped. They had picked up her energy, even hidden. He had to think fast. He turned back to Nova. She looked at him, confused. He had no time to explain. Ethan pulled open a side panel and activated an old security override. It rewired the ship's signature, made it look like a mining drone. He shut off all systems except life support. Outside, the scanner beam hit the ship. A long, red light passed through everything. Nova started glowing again, afraid. Ethan crouched beside her. "It's okay, stay still," he whispered. She nodded and dimmed her glow, holding his hand. The scanner paused, then passed. Inspection complete. No alerts. Ethan slumped against the wall. They were clear, for now later, as the ship drifted silently. Nova curled up beside a stack of gear. Ethan watched her sleep. She looked peaceful. But he knew that inside her, something powerful was waiting. He checked the black box he had taken from the bunker. Its encryption was complex, alien tech fused with something human. It would take time to break. But he had a feeling it held answers. Who made Nova? Why was she left in that sack? And why was she so important that even Earth Command was scanning for her? One thing was clear. She wasn't just an alien. She was a secret. A living secret. And someone, somewhere, still wanted her gone. The stars outside the ship began to blur. Not because of speed, but because Nova was dreaming. She floated above the floor, barely breathing. Glowing patterns flickered across her skin. Her lips moved, whispering a language Ethan couldn't understand. Symbols flashed across the cockpit screens, not from the ship, but from her. Ethan sat in the pilot chair. Eyes wide, he didn't know what to do. He just watched then. Just as suddenly as it began, she dropped. Her body hit the floor with a soft thump. She opened her eyes, breathing fast, then looked at Ethan and said, "They're coming." Ethan didn't ask who. He already knew. Whoever left her in that sack wasn't finished. And they were coming to finish the job. But first, he needed answers. And the only clue he had was locked inside the black box. The device sat on the workbench. Small, smooth and cold. Not made by human hands. Part metal, part something organic. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. Nova looked at it and stepped back. She didn't want to touch it. Her glow dimmed. Ethan picked up a tool and connected the black box to the ship's data line. The screens flashed red. A warning, then a message. "Genetic access required." What the hell does that mean? Ethan said. Nova slowly raised her hand. Without touching the box, it opened. A soft light came out, showing old footage, recorded memories. Ethan stared at the screen. He saw a tall alien woman with silver skin and the same glowing eyes as Nova, She was holding a baby, Nova. She whispered something in her language and then looked directly at the camera. Then the video shifted. Explosions, screams, fire. The woman ran through a collapsing hallway. She placed Nova in the sack, sealed it, and pushed it into a ventilation shaft. Then the video cut to black. Ethan sat back, heart pounding. "She saved you," he said to Nova. "Your mom." Nova didn't speak. She just nodded slowly, eyes wet but not crying. Then the black box displayed something else. A data map. It pointed to coordinates deep in restricted space. A red zone, unknown space. Below the map was one word in alien script. Ethan asked Nova what it meant. She whispered, "Home." Ethan stared at the map. He knew that going there would make him a traitor. Earth Command had forbidden access to that sector after the war. It was off limits. They said it was dangerous, cursed, unstable. But Nova had no one else, and he had no orders left that mattered. He made his choice. "We're going," he said, "to find out who you really are." As he set the coordinates, a new alert appeared on the radar. A ship was following them. No ID, no signal, silent, but moving fast. Nova looked out the window. Her eyes narrowed. She said just one word, cold and quiet. "Hunters." Ethan armed the ship's defense system, but his mind was racing. If Nova was so important that someone erased her entire world, what would they do to stop her now? And more importantly, why was Earth blocking access to her home system? Asterisk, the air inside Earth Base 7 felt too clean, too quiet, like a trap disguised as safety. Ethan knew the second he landed it was a mistake, but he had no choice. The ship was low on fuel, Nova needed food, and the black box was overheating. Now they were surrounded, not by guns, not yet, but by eyes. Security watched from corners. Scanners hummed louder than usual. Command officers asked too many questions, and Nova, hidden under a cloak, pretending to be human, gripped Ethan's hand too tightly. She felt the danger before he did. Her skin flickered with faint light. She was scared in the waiting bay. Ethan sat beside her, acting calm. He checked his comlink. A private message blinked on screen. "Surrender the asset." No questions asked. No consequences. One-time offer. He didn't reply. He knew what they meant by asset. They wanted Nova, alive if possible, dead if necessary. Ethan looked at the girl beside him. She was trying not to glow. "Trying not to shake," she whispered. "They know." He nodded. "We're leaving." He stood, pulling her cloak tighter. They walked fast through the metal halls, heading back toward the dock. But the elevator stopped on the wrong floor. 4 armored guards stepped in, blocking the exit. One of them smiled coldly. "Corporal Ray, command would like a word." Ethan reached slowly for the side of his jacket. Inside was a pulse grenade. He looked down at Nova. She nodded. The guards reached for their weapons. Ethan moved faster. He dropped the grenade and grabbed Nova. Boom. The hallway filled with flash and smoke. Ethan ran, holding Nova close. Sirens blared behind them. Automated turrets activated overhead. "Don't stop," he said. Nova looked up, eyes glowing white. She raised a hand and every door ahead of them opened by itself. Systems glitched. Alarms froze. Power flickered. They reached the ship. Raven 9 waited. Engine primed. Ready. Ethan slammed the bay door shut. Turrets fired. Bullets bounced off the hull. He jumped into the cockpit. Hit launch. The ship roared up through the hangar. Then straight into open space. 3 security ships followed. Weapons hot. No questions now. Just orders. Shoot them down. Nova stood beside Ethan in the cockpit. She closed her eyes. The stars around them twisted. One of the chasing ships lost power. It drifted dead. Another fired a missile. Nova reached out. The missile exploded midair. She collapsed weak. Ethan caught her. "You're okay," he said. "We're almost out." Then the 3rd ship pulled beside them. A voice came through the comms, cold and sharp. "Ethan Ray, stand down, or we open fire." He looked at Nova. Still breathing, eyes half closed, she had trusted him. She called him safe. He wasn't giving her up. "Not today," he muttered. He flipped the manual override. The ship's boosters lit up. Full burn. They shot forward, faster than safe limits. The enemy ship tried to follow, then veered off. Too fast, too far. Raven 9 disappeared into deep space. Systems blinking, hull overheating, but alive. Inside the quiet ship, Ethan checked on Nova. She was asleep, heart steady. She had used too much energy. She needed time. Ethan sat back, breathing hard. He had just made himself an enemy of Earth Command. He was now a traitor, but he didn't care in his mind. One memory played again, that whisper in the dust. Mom. He remembered the sack, the fear, the trust in her eyes. No, he wasn't going to let them take her. She was more than alien, more than a weapon. She was a child with something inside her no one understood yet, and maybe something the galaxy still needed. The ship drifted through the stars. Fuel low, systems tired, but hope for once was real. Ethan set a new course, not on any official map. The black box had shown him a destination, and that's where they were going. They thought they were alone in space, but space never stays quiet for long. Ethan had taken the ship into deep, lawless zones, no patrols, no scanners, no rules. Just darkness and old wrecks floating like ghosts. That's where the trap was waiting. It started with a signal, a repeating ping. Short and strange. Not human, not alien, something in between. Nova sat beside him, pale and silent. She tilted her head. That's not from a ship, she whispered. It's from something alive. Before Ethan could respond, every screen on Raven 9 turned red. The engines died. Lights shut off. A gravity field locked them in place. They were caught outside. Something moved, not a ship, a machine. Shaped like a predator, steel wings, blades for legs. A glowing red eye at its core. It docked without permission. It didn't knock. It cut its way in. Ethan grabbed his rifle. Nova stood beside him, glowing brighter than ever. The airlock burst open. A tall figure stepped inside, covered in black armor. Half human, half synthetic, one red eye, one cold voice. I don't want the man, it said. I came for the girl, Ethan aimed. You're not taking her. The bounty hunter didn't flinch. She doesn't belong to you, he said. She doesn't even belong to herself. Nova stepped forward. Her glow turned blue sharp. She's not property, Ethan said. She's a child. The bounty hunter raised one arm. It turned into a cannon. Ethan fired first. A flash of energy hit the hunter's shoulder. It sparked but didn't stop him. Nova raised her hands. The floor shook. Lights burst. Electricity danced in the air. She screamed, not in fear, in power. The hunter paused, analyzing her. You're further along than the others, he said. Then, without warning, he launched a shockwave. Ethan and Nova flew back, hitting the wall. Ethan groaned. Bleeding from his arm, Nova tried to stand, but the hunter grabbed her. Easy, he said. I'll return you alive. She looked up at him and whispered something Ethan couldn't hear. The bounty hunter froze. His eye flickered. Then he dropped her, stepped back. You remember me, he said. Impossible. Nova stood slowly. Name, Saren. She said. The bounty hunter took a step back. No one was supposed to survive, he said. I watched your planet burn. Nova's glow turned white-hot. You helped burn it. Ethan pulled himself up. Nova, he said. Now, she reached out, and a pulse of light exploded from her hands. The bounty hunter screamed, metal bending, circuits melting. He crashed through the wall, flying into space. Ethan hit the controls. Emergency power restored. He sealed the breach, pulled Nova into the cockpit. They jumped into hyperspace. No time to think later. As the ship drifted in silence, Ethan looked at Nova. She was shaking, but not crying. I remembered him, she said. One of the ones who hunted us. You knew his name, Ethan said. He knew you, Nova nodded. There were more like him, she said. Machines, part human. Made to find us. Ethan sat back, breathing hard. They're still looking. Nova looked out at the stars. They won't stop. Ethan gripped the flight stick. Then we go faster. He checked the black box again. The destination was still glowing red. The lost planet, the place Nova called home, And now, he knew, someone powerful didn't want them to reach it. Asterisk, the stars were gone. Only one thing filled the window now, a dead planet. Black and silent. It didn't turn, it didn't shine. It just floated in space like a giant wound. Untouched for centuries, Ethan stared at it. "Are you sure this is the place?" he asked. Nova didn't blink. She pressed one hand to the glass. "It was called Virana," she said. "My home." The black box glowed brighter than ever. It was pulsing like a heartbeat, syncing with the planet as they got closer. Signals filled the ship, soft whispers in ancient language, not warnings, not threats. Something else, a welcome, maybe, or a test. Raven 9 landed on cracked stone near the edge of a broken city. No life, no wind, just dry silence. But the ruins were massive, sharp towers, sunken gates, wide-open plazas made of alien metal. Nova stepped onto the ground. Her glow reacted instantly. Lights inside the ruins flickered on. Just for her, Ethan followed, weapon ready. The further they walked, the more the place changed. Doors opened without touch. Walls showed images, memories of Nova's people. Tall figures with glowing eyes, children playing in strange gardens. Ships leaving the sky. Then came the war. The sky turned red. The machines came. The beacons fell. And then, silence. In the center of the city stood a massive structure. Part temple, part machine. The black box shook in Ethan's hand. It flew from his grip and attached itself to the temple door. It opened. Inside was a single platform, floating above an energy pit. Nova stepped forward. "This is it," she said. "The seed core." Ethan didn't understand. "What does it do?" Nova looked at him, calm but sad. "My body carries memory," she said. "Not just mine, all of them. All my people." She stepped onto the platform. The entire temple lit up. Bright blue lines tracing through walls, floor, sky. Far above, in orbit, old satellites came alive deep in the planet. Machines started to hum across the galaxy. Long-dead signals began to move, but someone else noticed. Back in Earth Command, alarms screamed. A signal was rising from the red zone, the forbidden sector. "Who's transmitting from Virana?" the general asked. The room went silent. "Send the fleet," he said. At the same time, another ship, hidden in deep space, opened its eyes. The bounty hunter had returned. But this time, he wasn't alone, back on the planet. Nova's glow had become too bright to look at. Her voice echoed across the walls. "They buried us in silence," she said. "But silence is not death." Ethan tried to reach her. "Nova, what's happening?" Her eyes met his. "You brought me home," she said. "Now the galaxy will hear us again." The ground shook. The platform rose higher. Energy surged from the temple into the sky. It wasn't a weapon. It was a beacon, calling to others. If anyone else survived, they would know. The Starburn were not extinct. But with that call came danger. Enemies would follow. Old ones, new ones, even humans. Ethan looked up at the growing light and whispered, "What have we started?" Light poured into the sky like a silent scream. It came from the core of the lost planet, from the temple, from Nova. The beacon had awakened, and across the galaxy, ancient machines began to move. Not in attack, in memory. Nova stood in the air, suspended above the platform. Her eyes were white with energy. The symbols on her skin glowed like stars. She wasn't just a girl anymore. She was a message, she was a signal, and people were listening. Dozens of ships dropped out of hyperspace near the planet. Some were human, some were not. Some hadn't been seen since the war. But one ship came faster, larger, angrier, Earth Command. The Admiral's voice boomed across all channels. "This is a restricted zone. Power down your systems and surrender the alien child." Ethan stood in the control chamber, gripping the edge of the console. "She's not a child," he said. "She's the last of a people you tried to erase." Nova floated back to the platform, her glow softening. "They don't understand," she said. "They still see me as a weapon." Ethan looked at her. "So show them something different. Outside." The Earth fleet charged weapons, missiles locked, lasers primed. They were ready to strike. Nova stepped forward, barefoot on the glowing floor. She raised one hand toward the sky, then whispered, "I am not alone." The planet responded. Giant towers rose from the surface. Not weapons, beacons. They pulsed with light, sending waves of data across the stars. Ships that had long forgotten this place began to remember. Across the galaxy, old allies heard the call. The Starborn were waking. Inside the Earth command ship, systems began to fail. Screens filled with strange symbols, not hacked, not attacked, overwritten. Nova's voice echoed inside every mind, human or alien. "You fought to survive. Now you must learn to live," the Admiral shouted. Fire, but the weapons didn't respond. Nova had shut them down without touching them, not with anger, with truth. Ethan walked outside the temple, the sky glowing above him. He looked up at her, floating, radiant, impossible. "You were thrown away," he said. "Tied in a sack like garbage," Nova nodded. "Now I am the voice they cannot silence." The remaining bounty hunter ship turned away. Its pilot received the signal too. Old protocols inside him broke. He remembered his past. He remembered her, then without a sound. The human fleet turned around. No command given. No threat spoken, just a feeling. They had lost control, but maybe they had found something more. Nova descended to the ground. Her light dimmed. She looked tired, but calm. Ethan walked to her. "You okay?" She nodded. "Now they see me." He looked around the planet, once dead, now breathing. "What happens now?" he asked. Nova smiled softly. "We rebuild," she said. "With those who listen." She reached out and touched his chest. A small glow passed between them, not power, just connection. The temple lights faded to a soft hum. The planet stopped broadcasting. The signal had been sent. And the future was listening, later. Ethan stood at the edge of a cliff, looking up at the stars. Raven 9 was repaired, ready to fly again. Nova stood beside him, no longer afraid. "You still hungry?" he asked. She laughed quietly. "Always," he smiled. "Let's find dinner," above them. Stars blinked like distant answers. The war was over. The past had been heard, and something new had begun.